You've worked for decades, tried to be disciplined, saving and investing in hopes of achieving financial freedom. And you've been led to believe creating this perfect financial picture is one size fits all. But the truth is, no one's like you. Your perfect financial picture won't look like anyone else's. You deserve a financial strategy just as unique as you are. So how do you navigate the complexities and volatility of a financial environment that just never sits still? How do you find the guidance you need? Who do you trust with the wisdom to create your financial masterpiece? You've arrived. This is the Wealth Council. So glad you are with us on the Wealth Council. Thank you for your time. Appreciate you being with us. Brad Johansson with independent advisors all around the country as we continue to try and help you do that thing that you're trying to figure out. Retire so it's going to last. The problem for most of us is that we fail to plan. So how do we figure this out moving forward when we feel like we've done things the right way and yet everything seems siloed? We do taxes here, we do health care here, we try to figure out income here, and yet we're doing it with different people in silos. How do we put the plan together holistically so that it's going to last? Joining me today, Jordan Main out of Michigan, out of New Jersey, John Papa, and out of Wisconsin, Sam Dill. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Am I wrong, John, when I start and say a lot of us do things in pieces and hope that the plan fits? Do you see that often?
No, absolutely, Brad. We see that all the time. In fact, we put a name to it. We call it the junk drawer mentality, right? Clients will come in with what they think is a plan. It's just a bunch of statements from one of those big box firms. And I'm like, okay, what's your plan for taxes? What's your plan for income? What's your plan for health care that we have to worry about? Legacy planning. And all they have is a bunch of statements. And I go, that's the junk drawer. You have it in your kitchen. You got all these little things in there. Nothing's coordinated. So we see that all the time.
I don't want to put my eggs in one basket, Jordan. You'll hear that all the time. So I'm going to go to this guy for this and that gal for this. Why is it better to put the holistic plan together?
I love football, right? So think about on offense, there's 11 guys, right? And as soon as they snap the ball, every position is going in a different direction, right? Linemen going here, the receivers going there, but they're all part of a coordinated plan towards the same goal, right? And that's the same thing. We had a tax strategy years ago with a client that came in and we had all these accounts trying to reduce the taxation. They forgot to tell us about an E-Trade account that they had inherited from grandma and grandpa, and it triggered extra taxation. And then it screwed up our tax planning. So everything needs to work towards the same goal, kind of like the rowing, and I know you're from New Jersey, right? So the rowing, everyone's going towards the same goal.
Sam, as you put this together and try to, a lot of people may walk in and say, I'm not really even sure that I'm ready to retire. How do we set a plan together to say, I think you're good?
Well, yeah, a lot of people are scared of retirement. We see people every day that it's almost just like they want permission to retire. They want to have someone tell them that it's okay to retire.
It's okay.
But if you don't have that coordinated plan, and I love the analogy that you're using, John, where it's the junk drawer, because everybody that's got a junk drawer in their house, at some point in time, you can't open the drawer because there's some piece that's in that junk drawer that's sticking up, and you can't even get the drawer open. Not having a coordinated plan is the exact same thing.
Let's give you an idea, and a lot of times you will see us do this in a way that makes it a little bit easier. How do you have a tool that works? Let's put up the Retirement Readiness quiz for you. You can scan the QR code that is on your screen. This will, in many ways, help you even understand the questions that you're not sure that you have to answer. Take you through to get an idea on readiness. A lot of times you will hear me talk about runway. How long is your runway to be able to work with this? John, if I try and talk on that, many people say, I'm going to wait till the last minute. Do you have folks walk in and say, I'm going to retire in 6 days, let alone 6 minutes, instead of 6 years or 10 years before? What's the need to understand preparation long before you make that decision?
Right. It's pretty simple, Brad. So when someone comes in and says, I don't know if I'm ready to retire, like what Sam was just saying, I might want to retire now, or can I retire? And the thing that we do with clients is say, listen, what are your expenses? And if we can create enough guaranteed income from your assets, from pension, Social Security, whatever income's going to come from, if we can create more than what your expenses are, you're ready to retire. And you can retire.
But is there a need to do a lifestyle budget on top of necessities to try and work this and say, because a lot of people say, well, what are you going to do when you retire? I have no idea what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Retirement is about lifestyle. That's what I've always called it, a retirement lifestyle.
Right.
Because the necessities are something that you've had your entire working career, right? But now you want to add this supplemental lifestyle that you've been looking forward to for the last 35 or 40 years. So if you don't have that coordinated, and if you don't have the team members in place in order to do that, but I think, to the point that people aren't ready necessarily or don't feel like they're ready, they've never been told or educated that there should be a coordinated team that's working for you, because it is a team effort. It absolutely has to be in place.
Do people, Jordan, miss some of the things that have to be within that plan? I've got a portfolio. I know where I want to go. I know the house I want to live in. I'm going to have to pay taxes no matter what. Why would I need a plan to put all of this stuff together?
I'm going to go right back to the football analogy here for you, Brad.
Yeah,
so
I
what
like
happens
that.
when you get inside the 20-yard line? It's the red zone, right?
Yeah.
And the retirement red zone is those last few years before you retire. Things have to change. Why? Think about it in football. The field is smaller, right? They've got to change. There's only so many plays they can do.
Different plays, exactly.
Same thing when it gets to retirement. You can't 6 days before retire say, I'm going to retire.
Yeah.
The tax strategy, the income planning, as John said. There's so many things that go into those last. We would love to have 3 or 4 or 5 years, even 10 years to plan for retirement. 6 days is not going to be an answer.
I started this with saying silo, and I think for a lot of people, and correct me if I'm wrong, we'll walk in and say, by myself, I'm getting ready to retire. Do you have a spouse? Yes, of course. Where is your spouse? Not here. I kind of do this by myself. How important now for people, especially families working together, that this plan includes everybody?
So it's funny you say that, Brad. We just worked with a client where they were asking, can we retire? 35 years of working, they're tired. Can we retire? The husband was asking, and I'm doing the numbers again. Go, what are your expenses? Where's your income coming from? And the wife's going like, we don't want to, you can't retire.
We don't want him to retire.
Right. So you got to get them on the same page, right? The husband and wife or spouses, partners, you got to get them on the same page, because one might not be ready to retire, and one might, and you got to get them all on the same page. And that's why having a plan puts them in the arena, like Jordan was saying. You got to have a strategy, you got to have a game plan, and it's not 6 days before you retire.
To that point, Brad, I also find the opposite side that happens a lot of times, where you have a spouse that has taken care of the finances the entire marriage, and maybe they're concerned. I just had this the other day where someone was in and they're like, they were a coordinated team, but her job was to run the household, do all of those sorts of things. He had ran the investments and everything their entire life, but his question was, I need a backup quarterback here, Sam. I need somebody that can step in. If something happens to me, I need a trusted member on my team now to make sure that she's taken care of.
The question is, are you ready? Scan the QR code for your retirement readiness quiz. It will at least help you lead the way. We've got so much more to talk about on the Wealth Council. Glad you're with us. Spend the time on yourself. It's the council's wisdom, but it's your wealth. We're back after this.
He's always there, watching over you, guiding almost every decision you make, in every paycheck, every transaction, every little thing you earn. Even your private moments are not immune. Want to remove Uncle Sam from your retirement?
Hey, glad you're with us on the Wealth Council. Brad Johansson with our independent advisors around the country. I want to talk a little bit about risk for you. And as I do that, you know that we constantly bring up things that will create options for you, or at least a little bit of knowledge. Risk assessment quiz is on the screen right now. You can scan the QR code. Do you have any idea what risk you're in right now? And does it relate to the feelings that you have about risk as you start moving into this thing called retirement that seems to be so uncertain? Ryan Cunningham out of Georgia and out of Alabama. Nice to have you with us. Misha Dagger out of Massachusetts and Rhode Island. This kind of goes with diversification, guys. How many times do you have clients, prospective clients, walk in? here's my plan, which ends up being their portfolio, and they say, I've been fully diversified through all of this, and I'd kind of like to remain that way, Ryan, going through. Reaction to this, I see you smile, because this happens as people walk in and believe they're diversified moving into retirement.
Yeah, just because you have a lot of different holdings doesn't necessarily mean that you're properly diversified. One of the things we see most often in people that think they're highly diversified is they actually have a lot of overlap. And they're actually invested in the exact same investments or segments, and they have very little diversification.
Because of mutual funds that an advisor has put them in and said, this is the best place to be.
Correct.
Because this is where everybody goes.
Well, and they don't know what's in those funds. They just see that they have 15 different mutual funds.
Are there ways for you to take a look at the drop down of a portfolio that somebody lays on you and say, you know what, let's x-ray this. Let's do the blood work on this and find out whether or not you actually have hidden risk or diversification within this portfolio?
It's funny you use these terms. I always tell people, like, let's do MRI and CT scan on your portfolio.
There you go.
And let's find out what's hidden in there. Most of the time people have many statements, and they think by having many statements they are diversified. Like Ryan had mentioned, most of the time they are correlated, which means they have the same behavior of their investments, especially in downturn market. And this is always kind of justified to how to explain it to the client. When you have a old 401k and you leave it where it was and thinking that you're opening a new one and now you're diversified, it's not the case.
Okay.
Because it's the same asset allocation, and that's not diversification. And this is where, like, it comes, those MRIs and CT scans, like, tell the clients, you are really behaving the same way in these statements.
If we are, and we like it, accumulation time is good. We all want to continue to grow, and if we have in the last 15 years had somebody help us with a lot of that, yeah, the market's behaved for the most part, getting us to a point. Why do we need to change and understand that there has to be a diversification difference as we go into a much shorter runway while we're trying to figure out how to keep our assets?
Listen, it's not a set it and forget it philosophy, or it shouldn't be a set it and forget it philosophy. All the time people come into the office and they haven't seen any changes. And if it is a change, it's a reinvestment back into exactly what they have. And if you're in a growth model and you need to be getting ready for a distribution, there's a dramatically different diversification plan that needs to be put in place.
So as we start to adjust with this, and I talk about your risk feeling, hopefully you guys are scanning this quiz that's on your screen. Should there be a difference with how I feel about risk and how my portfolio is going to respond to the risk that I feel I'm okay with?
Most of the time, people behave based on emotional decisions.
Yeah.
If the market is very volatile, they pull out of the market, they want to stay in cash, and most of the time they miss out on opportunity, and actually cost them a lot of time to go back and recoup those losses that they did.
Yeah.
And who said that diversification should always target growth? What about when we are creating a plan? It should create consistency, especially in income, like Ryan had mentioned. So we should not be only diversifying our account based on targeting growth. I believe it should be all correlated together as far as income and a plan.
So money needs to be in different places now than it has been where we've been for the last 40 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the worst thing that you could do is go too far one way or the other.
Yep.
When the markets get crazy and you hear all the noise, you think, oh, I want to go to cash, or I need to be, out of the market. Or even you come in and you think, I'm very conservative as it is, but you really have no idea what you have. And it's time to examine it. Open up the books and let's see what you really have and where it's really at compared to where you think it is.
Yeah, and understanding that you have hidden risk within the portfolio that you may not know about because you have set it and forget it. This is a different time. So hopefully you have taken the risk assessment quiz. How do you feel about it? Is it where I need it to be? And could I use some help? For most of us, the answer is yes. Call the number on your screen. Use the counsel's wisdom to try and put together a complimentary written financial plan that will include an adjustment that fits the risk that you need to be. Call the number. Let's put together that plan. and use the council's wisdom. It's here. It's your time. It's your retirement. It's your wealth. We're back after this.
What's your risk tolerance? Why don't we do a little checkup, because your answer today probably isn't the same as it was 5 years ago, maybe even a month ago. Since risk tolerance isn't static, we've created a risk tolerance quiz that you can revisit as you see fit. It's designed to help you better understand your risk profile and provide actionable insights tailored to your financial needs. Scan the QR code and assess your risk right now.
Welcome back to the Wealth Council. Brad Johansson, and this is The Exchange. 3 topics, 2 advisors. Gary Thurman out of Tennessee, Sam Duell out of Wisconsin. Let's begin with you, Gary. We'll start on the topic of RMDs. Biggest RMD misconception?
I think RMDs are not just a formality. You know, you made a deal with Uncle Sam a long time ago. You're going to have to pay taxes at some point on that pre-qualified money. When you hit a certain age, you're required to start taking this money out. And by the way, Sam, what do you have to do when you pull that money out?
Well, you got to pay taxes on it.
And we got to think about longevity risk.
Yeah.
Right? You got to make that money last. Is it part of your income plan? Is it not? Do you need the money?
Do you spend it? Do you not spend it? Do you save it? Do you put it back into something else? There's so many decisions that have to be made, but what you said is so true, Gary. It is not a formality. It is a required minimum distribution, thus the term.
And that's right, but you can do things with RMDs,
Absolutely.
like a qualified, put it into charity, all these different things.
Yep.
You don't have to take the money,
Right.
but you are required to do something with that money.
And that's pull it out of that plan.
That's right.
Exactly.
Let's move on. True or false, gentlemen? Cash eliminates retirement risk. Sam?
Sometimes cash is used as it feels good to have cash, but you can have risks other than market risk, and that would be inflation risk with cash. Because if you're sitting on too much cash, it's on the sidelines. We go through a high inflationary period like we have in recent years. That cash is actually losing money sitting in cash.
But cash is also really good to have
Yep.
if you have an emergency, if you have something come up. We don't want you pulling money out of your retirement plans.
Yes.
So it's good to have some cash on hand. And can that increase longevity? Sure.
Yeah.
Cash, I mean, it's there for you. But like Sam said, it's not going to keep up with inflation. So have some money in cash.
But the cash should be a part of the plan
100%.
from the very beginning, because cash should not be a reactionary thing. Cash should be very much a planned process from the very beginning.
And you can put cash to work for you.
Yes.
You can put it to work for you. No, you're not going to make 20%, but
Right.
you can put it to work for you.
Yeah.
Just be smart about that bucket of cash that you have.
We move on to topic 3, gentlemen, Social Security and taxes. Why claiming early is not always safer?
Well, this is a permanent decision.
Yeah.
This is a lifetime decision. And I personally feel that Social Security is the foundation of your income plan. Every single body is going to be different to when you optimize. What about your health? What about longevity in your family? Again, I'll go back to that word, longevity risk. Social Security is a great thing to have. When do we activate that Social Security? When do we take advantage of that Social Security?
Yes.
That's going to be individualized for every person we sit down with.
And you have to be so cautious if you're going online and you're just using an online Social Security optimization program, because the one piece of information, Gary, that no one can say and that there's no space for in an optimization program is what? The question of, when are you going to die?
We don't know that.
We don't know that. So that makes it impossible to say this is the exact date when you should take Social Security, but you absolutely should be looking at everything from a non-emotional perspective and from a, what I would call, you got to make sure the math is mathing.
Social Security is a beautiful thing. You just got to know when to optimize that benefit.
Yep.
Are you going to do it for you, your spouse? Think about that. It's not just a, oh, this is just for me.
Yeah.
This is a longevity deal. And like I said at the very beginning, this is a permanent decision.
Got to ask yourself why.
That's right.
Have you worked it all into a plan? You need to call the number on your screen, scan the QR code, get your complimentary written financial plan. It's the council's wisdom. It's your wealth. Back after this. Some retirement decisions are flexible. Others become more difficult to change over time. So tax decisions related to qualified retirement assets, they often fall into that latter category. Distributions, income sequencing, account structure choices, they can influence how assets are actually taxed.
which is why tax planning is most effective before the income decisions begin. We offer tools that are designed to help evaluate potential tax outcomes before the flexibility is reduced. So scan the QR code, take our free Roth Readiness quiz, assess whether or not you may be positioned for a more tax-efficient retirement.
And welcome back to the Wealth Council. Brad Johansson with our advisors around the country, independent and working for you on how do we figure this thing out. Well, you've heard Roth before. Everybody's supposed to do it, or are they? Chris Bowman out of California, Misha Dagger out of Massachusetts and Rhode Island. Nice to have you on this conversation. Chris, is Roth for everybody?
Oh, I think Roth should be for everybody, but that's an easy answer, right?
That was the easy answer.
Yeah. So the question is, if you're already well along the way, how do you get more into Roth? Should you get more into Roth? What are the reasons? Just so everyone understands that the reason you might want to, it's tax now versus tax later. A Roth basically is you're putting after-tax money into it, grows tax-free forever, and you can just pull it out tax-free with no strings attached in most cases. Different than a traditional IRA or 401k, which you get to deduct now and just save those taxes for later.
Okay, so I don't get away from paying taxes. I got to pay taxes. Why is it good for me to pay taxes now on things that I don't have to use for 10 years down the road, Misha?
Well, it depends if you wanted to keep growing these tax-deferred accounts higher and higher and higher and pay more taxes in the future because of the compound interest, or you want to pay your bill today and say, call it a day, I'm done. All the conversions that you've done, they're going to be tax-free in the future. So you're actually compounding your interest on a tax-free account versus taxable account. So what do you would prefer, to pay taxes now, knowing the rates now, or paying taxes in the future, not knowing the rates and not knowing the values either?
You're trying to tell me to be proactive.
Oh, that's
You're
the key.
trying to tell me to get ahead of these things.
I like that.
I like it too, except we don't do that, Chris, with most of our retirement stuff. The government's going to tell us when to pay taxes. I'll pay my taxes on April 15th. What's the difference if I do some of this now? I said Roth conversion, and you know what? I always do this for you because the Wealth Council has produced these for you. Roth conversion quiz. Scan the QR code while we're talking about this. Find out whether or not something is right for you. Before I get into conversion, can I do contribution, Chris, now ahead of time? This is proactive again. Do I get out of these standard 401ks, traditional? Because most companies now are offering contributions in Roth form, aren't they?
They are, and especially if you're getting a match, you should be putting everything that you can into that. If you're able to max out those Roth 401ks every year, whether it's at the lower level or 23.5 or whatever the current number is, or if you're over 50, you get a big jump ahead of that. So I think it's one of the best places. Where else can you put money that grows tax-free, compounds tax-free, and you get to pull it out tax-free? And when you pass away and it goes to your kids, they don't have an RMD schedule. They get to take it at their sort of time frame whenever they need it.
We bring this up, and sometimes you're watching the program and you go, I don't even know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. But RMDs are required minimum distributions that everybody is going to have to hit, either at 73 or 75, or when the government decides to change their mind again and do a different age on all of this. Why is it important for me, Misha, at 65 to start planning a Roth conversion strategy if I don't need to worry about it for another 8 years?
Well, I like to call it the domino effect because it's basically all connected together. Your tax bill on those conversions or the contributions, and then also you have the Social Security payments, and then you have the inheritance. So it's all connected together. And do you really want to push yourself in a higher tax bracket when you're collecting that Social Security payment?
That would be negative.
Exactly. Don't you prefer to have that Social Security payment also tax-free? Our job most of the time, maybe not to avoid, I would like to avoid taxes completely, but maybe if we can't avoid it completely, maybe we can actually mitigate taxes and try to be tax efficient.
Is it possible? Go ahead, I didn't want to interrupt.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, let's say you're in the 24% tax bracket and it goes up to a level of $403,550.
Yep.
You and your spouse have an income of $300,000. So if you have a big IRA somewhere, you can convert, let's say, up to 100, whatever that number is, $100,000 over to Roth. We go ahead and take hopefully we have some cash and checking savings. We pay the bill on that. When else can you get $100,000 into your Roth IRA, right? And you're doing it at the same tax.
Without changing
We're
tax
not even
bracket.
increasing tax brackets. And you can only do that when you have control. Once you don't have control anymore and RMDs start, you're out of it.
This can then be a multi-year, as I talked about, a multi-year strategy if I'm using the wiggle room of the bracket that I'm already in so it doesn't cause more pain.
Correct. You don't want to leave anything on the table when it comes to the IRS. If you have some room to abuse, actually, that's the right thing to do
fair
instead of
enough.
just like leave it on the table. Because obviously, when we have the required minimum distribution, what we're gonna do if we are in 22% tax bracket and we jump to a higher tax bracket, it's not in our hands. Now the power is in the government hand and not anymore in our hands. The control is the best is when we have it in our hand.
Clarity, confidence, control to get to the comfort spot on all of these things. Hopefully you scanned the Roth conversion quiz. Is it for you? Don't know. Because this is an individual retirement. If you've been told differently that everybody should be in the same thing, maybe you ought to run. Or I'll tell you what, just make a phone call. Call the number on your screen to get to an independent advisor that can help you put together a comprehensive plan that's right for you. Counsel's wisdom, it's your wealth. Use it wisely. Back after this.
So how will you manage taxes on your retirement savings? Roth? Max out the deferred accounts? Strategic withdrawals? Maybe you have to move. Or I just haven't planned yet. Scan the QR code. Let us know what you think. Retirement planning is more than just about the markets. It's about income that lasts, decisions that are tax smart, a plan that carries your legacy forward. That takes experience, perspective, and a commitment to what matters most to you. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Brad Johansson. We'll see you next time on The Wealth Council.